will go directly to the point. The Aquino administration is fully committed to pursue a human rights-based, context-sensitive, and multidisciplinary and multi-stakeholder approach that would ensure the safety of journalists and promote free expression. When we talk about the context of impunity and justice, we must therefore view this from the standpoint of history, where we have witnessed the transition from martial rule to EDSA. We had 14 years of martial law. We also witnessed 29 years of democratic space after the EDSA People Power Revolution. The government's approach to ending the culture of impunity and protecting the right to life, the right to know, and the right to free expression is that it is human rights based. Let me point out, my friends, that in our region and compared to most countries in the world, there is no prior restraint in this country and there is no Internal Security Act. May I just state for the record that even when it comes to journalists, it is not a policy of this state to silence critics. All you have to do will be to turn on the TV, the radio, or look at any newspaper to find an abundance of criticism.
So we have put the two things together. Our work of protecting freedom is one side of the coin of our advocacy to the preservation or upholding of responsibility and ethics, because I think they go together. You cannot separate one from the other. If you're going to be free, you need to be responsible. You cannot be responsible unless you are free. When we look at the protection of press freedom and responsibility as a profound challenge. And for a while, I was almost afraid to attend the kinds of international conferences to which we were invited, because I had to explain why there were so many journalists being killed. What did we find? Only 22 of the 32 cases, were in the line of duty. All the others could not be classified as a journalist doing his or her work and got killed for it. We also found that most of these cases were happening in the remote countrysides, and therefore the Manila press was not paying that much of attention to it, which is still relatively true up to this point. In the end, it's only the state, it is only the government that can end it all.
Filipino journalists, anxious to provide for their families, desperate to break away from poverty, and often forced to risk their safety to get the kind of picture or interview that the networks or newspapers would be willing to pay for. When we talk about threats to press freedom, the first things that come to mind, especially in the context of countries like the Philippines, are the killings of journalists. But some threats to freedoms are not always as obvious as a .45 caliber gun or as loud as a gunshot. Some attacks happen quietly and hit us where it hurts the most, sa sikmura, stomach. But ironically, many journalists have gotten so used to the situation that they no longer see or they fail to understand how it already undermines basic rights and freedoms, including the right to a free press. Furthermore, the lack of decent wage, the absence of job security, and the little job opportunities available all make the journalists extremely vulnerable.